Working at ArenaNet, we fortunately are on something for a long time. We can work on a project for years and take the time to really make something that fits the world and the themes.
Drew and I both started here around 2008 when Guild Wars 2 was just getting going. We're pretty much given free rein to do what we needed to do to make the game sound as good as possible.
Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns has this rich artisan kind of feel, and so to keep in that vein and have it fit that environment, we chose instruments and other objects that we Foley, so there's this organic, natural vibe to go with that painterly look.
We're very fortunate to have our own Foley room right next to me here, so we can step in and record whenever we want.
We had this gold city, and we wanted to have this shimmer and have some life to it and have a kind of a musical tone. I used a wind chime, and I bowed it with a bass bow. So this is this really airy, ethereal type of sound that we get the detail from the shotgun, which is the 418S, and it's really quiet, so we can get this really, not as much musical, but very soft tone. So we have this sand on ceramic, and then the next layer is the wind chime. And then both of those feed into a really large reverb, which we impulsed on location at the Fort Worden Cisterns. And it's like a 40-second reverb. It's just ridiculous. You put the two together and you have this really large city ambience. You have a day-night cycle, and that kind of progresses, and then you have, on top of the day-night cycle, like what is actually happening in that city. And so the ambience shifts with that, the behaviors of the creatures shift with that, and then the whole thing kind of comes together when you play it. What's fun about Foley is you bring in an object and you get that sound that it does. And then you try to kind of find what the other secret thing is. You're creating all these real assets and then combining them to make this one creature, and he's got a little more life to him.
I'm very fortunate. I have an awesome team here. If you just hire really good people and just let them do their job and get out of the way, amazing things happen.
So this is a mouth call that's essentially made to lure predator creatures.
With Foley, you can really kind of explore short and long and loops and really tie it all together when you're doing the sound design.
So if we've gone through the initial steps of building what this creature is going to sound like, we then have to build out this big bank of sounds for this guy.
Each creature has kind of a set of dialogues, and this is their attack long scream. Okay, so the first one is an upright bass, and we kind of had this chattery, I used a bow and I used one string, and it's kind of a and then the next one is the mandibles. And then here's the cardboard box. And when you tie it together with the other stuff, it gives it that energy and that high end that's like, whoa, this guy means business, you know?
But then when it comes time to do the in-game cinematics, you know, I get to work with all that library that's been built. So I get to go to the game library and draw from that. I just try to make it sound the same so that when you step from the game into the cinematics, that it feels like you're just watching a version of what you were just playing. We end up mixing for the big speakers, we end up mixing for little speakers, and then we end up mixing for headphones too. It's a whole lot easier for the sound to scale down in quality to an earbud than it is to go the opposite direction. So if we mix for the big nice headphone, we're pretty sure it's going to sound good on all of them.
I've always thought that The best artists know how to use their paintbrushes in as many ways as possible. I kind of came from a design standpoint and then worked my way through implementation and then through ultimately to become an audio systems programmer that I am now. Audio brings stories to life, whether I'm working on code or recording things or implementing things. It's just always fascinating to see how it all comes together, and I think one of the greatest things about working here is I'm allowed to kind of play and understand better what a designer and an implementer needs, and then get back into the code and figure out how I can provide them with the tools and the systems that they ultimately need to create a world.
The types of things that I do is I determine what sound is going to play via a given action in the game, and then how that's going to broadcast in three-dimensional space. It's about determining what is important given context, and that things sound appropriate given their size, their intensity, and what is most important to a player when playing the game. There could be thousands trying to play, and it's all about determining priority in real time.
This time around for Heart of Thorns, it's learning from what we did, exploring some more options, and hopefully tying in with the story and what the art team has made and bringing it all to another level.